We're waiting.
Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. As always, this show brought to you by Mazda of Columbia. Go and get yourself a car. Go to MazdaofColumbia.com. They got the whole website there. You can figure out which car you want. It's kind of the cool way to do it. Then you can just go up there and tell them, I want X car. There you go. Yeah, let's get into the rundown this afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Papa Blake asked about early bowl projections from The Athletic. We can look at those this afternoon. I've actually got that on the list here, so we'll get into that. Also, we've got some other things that we're going to get into today, including Brian Harsin once again with Auburn. Auburn is still a mess. One team may be going up for sale in the NFL. I'll tell you who it is. And more. But I got to start with, before we get into those bowl projections that Papa Blake over there was talking about, there was an article put out by 247 Sports about an hour ago about college football teams who could dethrone the SEC in 2022. The thing that bothers me with that is that we're all just fed to believe that there is absolutely no way that any team outside of the SEC can compete for a national title. I find that hard to believe. You can call me the silly, call me the dumb, whatever it is you want to call me. But here's what it comes down to. How about you just be honest in your article and say, here are the teams that can unseat Alabama and Georgia? Because I think if you pin down the biggest SEC homer, if they're completely honest with you, they will tell you that, yeah, those are the two teams that could win the national title if I had to pick a national champion right about now. This whole adage that you can't win the national title unless you're from the SEC is silly at its best. There are two, I think, really great teams that are going to be in the SEC this year in Alabama and Georgia. But this whole thing that's coming up with this adage that teams that could dethrone the SEC in 2022, it's kind of some little man syndrome, right? We have to have our entire conference has to be thought of as, the absolute best ever. So here are some teams that might dethrone the conference. I don't think teams go out thinking, you know what? We're out here to dethrone the SEC. I think it comes down to we're trying to win a national title. You don't get a trophy for dethroning the SEC. Okay? It's all about winning a national title. But they did have some good comments and some good notes. We'll go from that with some teams that could possibly do it. One of the first ones, though, is Southern Cal. And I think with Southern Cal, with Lincoln Riley, I don't know. But Caleb Williams, definitely the Heisman caliber quarterback. We shall see with them. And by the way, one other thing on what I was talking about with the SEC, if you're an Alabama or a Georgia fan, you should get spiked about this. Because basically they're trying to take down the fact that you're an elite program, that you're one of the best programs in the country, and they're just saddling you with covering the entire SEC. If you're a Georgia or Alabama fan, that's the way that you should feel. No. It's not our conference. It's us. It's us. It's our team here. It's Nick Saban at Alabama. It's Kirby Smart at Georgia. It's not anyone else. It's ridiculous, though, that they have this whole thing that it's the SEC versus the world, and it's really not. But anyway, if you're a Georgia fan or a fan of Alabama, you should tell them, stop riding our coattails. It's not always about you. if you're an 8-4 Ole Miss team, you're not winning the national title. Stop it. Anyway, here we go with this. Michigan is the other team they think could have a chance. I'm going to say it's to beat Alabama or Georgia. And I'm going to say not so much. Michigan lost they lost their offensive coordinator. I think they lost their defensive coordinator. And let's be honest, do you really think Jim Harbaugh wants to be there? I'm not buying that either. The other team that they have in the mix is Notre Dame. I don't think that's going to work because they've got to play Ohio State at the very beginning of the season. And I don't think it's going to happen that way. The Clemson Tigers are another team that they have on the list. I'm not buying that Clemson could beat Alabama because Clemson has to prove that they can have a quarterback that can throw the ball for more than 200 yards in a game. Go back and look at the games where Clemson matched up toe-to-toe with Alabama and beat them for national titles. They had a quarterback that could throw the football. DJ Uiagalelei, as of right now, unless he comes back and bounces back from injury, you can't tell me that you're going to hitch your boat to that and hope it pulls you in. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Here's the team that I think has quite possibly the best chance, and that's Ohio State. I think that they could square off with Alabama or Georgia and make a game of it. I really do believe that. So they've got C.J. Stroud. They've got Travion Henderson. They can score a bunch of points. And I think that they're not going to let what happened to them last year with Michigan happen again. But I do think Ohio State should be a team that's in the mix. But of all of them listed in this article, the teams that can match up with Georgia and Alabama, I would probably go in order. I would probably go 1 being Ohio State. 2 would probably be, I guess you would have to go with Southern Cal, then maybe Notre Dame, then Clemson, and then Michigan. But this adage that it's the only team that can win anything is from the SEC is silly. There are 2 great teams in the SEC. And the rest of the world needs to stop riding their coattails and writing headlines like college football teams who could dethrone the SEC in 2022. No. They're trying to dethrone Alabama and Georgia. It's not like they're squaring off with the entire conference. What a mess. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I also have, we're going to look up those bowl projections that were from Papa, who asked about those? I've got them somewhere. Papa Blake says Brett McMurphy. Yeah, I'll pull those up for you. But I don't think they're from The Athletic, but we will find them for you. But they're way too early bowl projections. We'll get into that and where some teams are going to go as far as where people think they're going to go for a bowl game. Man, it's kind of crazy when you stop and think about it. Never too early bowl projections. Here we go. As we look through some of these. As I'm running through the notes here. I'll have to print these during the break. But we'll definitely get those up for you with some of the bowl projections that are out there that are way too early, but fun to look at. 803-978-1832. Of the teams that are out there, who has the best chance, in your opinion, to unseat Georgia or Alabama? We'll take calls on that. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us. Jacob says Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, Utah, and Baylor. You think of those five that they could unseat Georgia or Alabama? I don't know. Justin says Clemson could make the playoffs. The Clemson schedule this year is, if you're going to have the conversation of, hey, we have a tough schedule, Clemson can't be really in the mix on that. Now, we don't know how tough that schedule is going to be. The teams that are on there, they could end up, we could have a bunch of teams that have Arkansas type seasons where they end up being really good when we didn't think they were going to be really good. But as of right now, it is kind of easy to say, hey, with that Clemson schedule, they have an opportunity to make the college football playoff. But making the college football playoff is good, but it's all about winning the college football playoff. Going in and winning a game. Michigan went in, Cincinnati went in, and they left with their hat in their hand. That's not what you want. It's the idea of, can you get into the playoff and can you win? I do think that if you held me down today and said, hey, Rob, pick a team that's going to be in the college football playoff, I'm going to go with either Alabama or Georgia from the SEC, and then we can work our way down from there. I think Alabama is going to be stacked to the gills, and they're going to be a team that's going to be hard to match up with, just personnel on personnel. Vol Steak Online says, I think Penn State's going to have a rough year and fire their coach. I don't think they're firing Franklin. That's an over-the-top thing, but you're right. They may have a rough year. You know who I really think is going to have a rough year is Michigan State. I think they paid their coach all that money, and I think that it may not come to them this year. They may end up as like a 6 or 7 win team. I'm not saying that's a bad year, but after the year that they had, the land of Sparty up there is thinking, man, we may be able to compete. Not so much. I think their schedule's tough. They've got to play at Ohio State. They got to play Michigan. It's going to be a mess. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We'll also look at the coaches' hot seat rankings, where we talk about those about once a month in the off season. We'll get into that. I still think Brian Harsin is on the hot seat, even though he apparently is coming back. Yeah, I think if they win 9 games, if he doesn't win 9 games, he's going to be gone. He may win 9 games and he may decide to leave. But trust me, by this time next year, the day after Valentine's Day, we're going to be talking more about who the next head coach at Auburn is going to be. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Who can challenge Alabama and Georgia for the next season? That's a very fair thing to look at because I think both of them are going to be really, really good teams. We'll take calls on that, 803-978-1832. Jacob said Harsin won't be fired. No, but I think Harsin will quit. I really think he'll quit. And to be honest, with the way that he acted the other day with the statement that he made, he may have wanted to quit before, but he thought in his head, you know what? If I battle through this year and I get my money for this year and it comes out and there's going to be someone that's going to leak everything that's happened to him, he won't look like a quitter. And you know what? If all the stuff that was thrown against him with, the stuff about the infidelity and everything else that was out there, if all that was thrown at me and I hadn't done anything, screw you, I'm not quitting. That's not happening. It's not happening at all. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I'm going to go through the season. I'm going to get my money. And let's say that Auburn has a tough season. Go ahead and fire me. Go ahead and fire me. That's pretty much what I would tell them. I don't want to be at this hellhole anyway. Let me collect my whatever it is money and leave. Jet Mech with a comment online that I can't say on the air, but you can follow along on the Fox Sports Radio 1400 Facebook page. A little bit too rowdy there for the air. I agree with you, Jet Mech. Very good stuff, sir. Wow. 803-978-1832. Quick break. When we come back, we'll have more for you. This is The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. That's funny. Good stuff, Jet Mech. For some reason, I'm trying to get those bowl projections for you. Hold on a second. I don't think Auburn cares about money. They might. I think Tank Bigsby is going to be like, yeah, I'm out. Some of these bowl projections are interesting. Yeah, their schedule is tough. I mean, I think they have to go to LSU. I think they go to Georgia this year. Yeah, that's a tough schedule. Yeah, I've got the full set here. I'll give them to you. We're going to do the SEC and ACC teams. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, brought to you by Mazda of Columbia, corner of Greystone and Broad River, MazdaofColumbia.com. Bowl projections. These are from Brett McMurphy. We'll give you the SEC and ACC teams that he's projecting to go to a bowl game. We'll start with the Gasparilla Bowl. South Carolina fans, perk your ears up a little bit. They've got you playing Boston College. So I guess they're projecting South Carolina to be a team that's like in the 7 to 8 win range. The Gasparilla Bowl, he thinks, is going to be the home for South Carolina in the bowl game. We'll go up. Way too early bowl projections here from Brett McMurphy. The Military Bowl, Virginia versus UCF. The Military Bowl should have a service academy in it. Just hold a spot for a service academy. My goodness. Let's see here. The Birmingham Bowl, Mississippi State and Maryland. I don't know how Mississippi State's going to finish, but I don't think Maryland's going to win enough games to qualify for a bowl. Their schedule looks like it's going to be brutal. The Liberty Bowl, TCU and Auburn. Look at that. They've got the team that we've determined is a gong show program. Yes, we've determined that they're a gong show program, but they still got them going to a bowl game to play TCU in the Liberty Bowl. As we roll along, the Holiday Bowl, Florida State versus Oregon in the Holiday Bowl. Okay, I could watch that. FSU versus the Ugly Unis. Not a big. I could watch that game during the holiday season. The Fenway Bowl. Why do we have to have a bowl game at Fenway Park? What a disaster. Syracuse and Cincinnati. They think Cincinnati's going to fall that far down and get into the Fenway Bowl against Syracuse. The Pinstripe Bowl. Yeah, we got to have a game at Yankee Stadium. North Carolina versus Nebraska. If North Carolina doesn't jump up and win the Coastal this year, I think we've seen the last of Mac Brown, and he may coach his last college game, according to these projections, at Yankee Stadium. The Cheez-It Bowl, Miami versus Baylor. The Las Vegas Bowl has Ole Miss and Washington as a projected spot there, according to Brett McMurphy. The Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl, Louisville and Michigan State. Man, Coach Satterfield up there at Louisville, I think his seat's going to be hot too. Other bowls, the Music City Bowl, Iowa and Arkansas. I think Arkansas may be a little bit better than the Music City Bowl, but we shall see. The Sun Bowl, Virginia Tech and UCLA. Tony Elliott may take Virginia Tech to the Sun Bowl out in Tempe. Okay. Your Gator Bowl projection, Pitt and LSU. I don't know if Pitt's going to be that good. Kadon Slovis checks in for them. But you know what? We never really think that way about Pitt, but they keep winning 7, 8, 9, 10 games. So maybe that's in the mix there. The Outback Bowl, Notre Dame and Kentucky. I guess they're projecting Kentucky to be a 9-win team this season, according to Brett McMurphy. The Citrus Bowl, Penn State and Florida. Wow, what a reach for Billy Napier. If he can get Florida to the Citrus Bowl in his first season, they may rename the stadium and knock down Tim Tebow's saying on the side of the swamp there. Texas and Tennessee in the Texas Bowl. I guess if you're going to have Texas in the bowl name, you might as well have Texas playing in it. That'd be a disappointing season, I think, for the Longhorns because they believe that they've got that big transfer quarterback coming in, and that's going to fix everything. Not so much. The Rose Bowl, Michigan and Utah. Okay. The Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. The Cotton Bowl, they've got NC State and Houston. The Orange Bowl, Wake Forest and Wisconsin. And then you've got the CFP projections. They've got Alabama and Clemson. Alabama's the 1 seed. Clemson as the 4 seed in the Peach Bowl. In the Fiesta Bowl, they've got Ohio State and Georgia. Then you've also got the national championship setup. They've got Alabama and Ohio State. So there's that. I don't know the team that stuck out there. I'm not too sure about Florida being projected that high. Also, I think that Wake Forest is going to take a step back this year because their best running back came to South Carolina. They're going to have Sam Hartman. I get that, but they lose some stuff on defense. None of these really are, I think, that far off. I don't know about Auburn. I'm serious. Every time I say Auburn, I'm going to play this. I mean, I feel like I kind of have to until they can figure some stuff out. Justin says Alabama wins it all. Papa Blake says, there are your projections. No need to buy those Lindy's and Phil Steele magazines this year. Mayhem Matthew says, hello, Rob. Are you perturbed? No, sir. I don't get perturbed. I don't get perturbed, man. I don't have that in me. Interesting stuff there. Volsteak says, we are back, of course, referring to Tennessee. You know, I'm going to start putting together my preseason stuff after the spring games, basically. Okay. Because then we'll know who's transferring in and who's transferring out. All of that will be in the mix there, and we'll know which players are going where. There are still players out there that could make a difference for some teams. JT Daniels, who at one point people thought could walk on water, is still looking for a place to go. If you're a team that just needs a quarterback, he's out there. And I think someone can take a spin on him and at least bring him in and see if he's got anything left. But I think that he's had the capability where he can throw the ball around a good bit. So I think that there's going to be a setup where he's going to go somewhere, and that could be, I think he's the biggest transfer guy that's out there right now. By the way, if you look at the transfer portal, you know what you don't see a lot of? You don't see a lot of offensive linemen. You'll see some defensive linemen, linebackers, quarterbacks, running backs. But the one thing that can really change a team's trajectory, in my opinion, is always the offensive line. You don't see very many of those in the transfer portal. Just something I point out there for folks that follow that kind of thing. Anyway, I want to respond to the projections. South Carolina looks like they're projected to win 8 games, according to Brett McMurphy. That'd be a good season for the Gamecocks. I think the Gamecocks are going to start 1-2, in my opinion. I think they go to Arkansas and lose, and I think that Georgia beats them at home. They'll win their non-conference opener. After that, though, they could catch fire and finish 8-4. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. If you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app, some interesting projections there. Kind of gives you an idea of where you think where your team's going to go. Florida making a bowl game this year. Wow. After everything that they've dealt with, we shall see. More of the Rundown when we return. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Good point, Matt. You know, that might be interesting if they could get him to go. If they can get him to come to Mizzou, because they've got Luther Bowden. They've got some decent running backs. That might be an interesting call there. Maybe. Drinkowitz, he doesn't care about he wants to go and get guys, so we'll see. Benji with the comment of the day. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app, brought to you by Mazda of Columbia, MazdaofColumbia.com. Let's go out to the phones. Well, welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
What's up? It's Mayhem Matthew.
Hi.
I heard you say
Wait,
earlier.
Hold on a second. I have to ask, who gave you the name Mayhem Matthew? Do you like run around destroying things, or you just gave yourself a nickname? I just want to know.
Me, myself, and I.
So you determined that you like to destroy things, and you named yourself Mayhem Matthew. Okay.
Yes, just like Georgia Bulldogs destroyed the Carolina Gamecocks. Yes, sir.
Sure. All right. What do you have for the program today?
So I heard you say earlier that Carolina was going to lose to Georgia.
Right.
So that means Stetson Bennett is going to beat Spencer Rattler.
Right. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but football is a team game that's more than just quarterbacks.
Well, I know that, but you know your quarterback does get the more of the, I guess, accolades whenever it comes down to it.
Well, I think he's going to be playing on Sunday. Stetson Bennett, I'm not so sure.
You never know, but hold
on. You think that Stetson Bennett's going to play on Sundays? You want to stand behind that? We'll put that on the bookcase of accountability. Folks that follow the program, they'll know about that. Mayhem Matt thinks that maybe Stetson Bennett could play on Sundays. We'll see.
I don't think he'll get drafted. I'm not saying he'll get drafted, but he'll probably get picked up as a free agent and probably get on the practice squad. I mean, we'll see how he does. I mean, you also got to realize that Kirby Smart told Stetson Bennett, "You'll never see the field," and he won a national title. So there you go.
Well, I mean, if you want to ride that man, then I understand that he broke the curse there for Georgia and won the national title, but I don't think I'm hitching my wagon to that.
Well, I know what you're also not hitching is the SEC championship for the Carolina Gamecocks. So
no, I don't think anybody's hitching South Carolina to go to the SEC championship. They're rebuilding the program down there. Will Muschamp left it with a ton of holes, and Shane Beamer is going to need some time to fix some of the spots that are a problem down there. I mean, Will Muschamp forgot to recruit basically wide receivers, offensive linemen. He just forgot to recruit that for a while, and you have to fill that void there. So I think it's you can't sit here and say, hey, South Carolina has a shot there. I think that South Carolina a great season for South Carolina would be to finish second or third in the East.
Yes, sir. You're completely wrong. They probably finished somewhere about fifth or sixth or seventh.
Okay.
Well, no, Vanderbilt's going to finish lower than you, so you probably finish sixth.
So you think that they finish? We'll put that on the bookcase of accountability too. Make sure you call at the end of the season because South Carolina is not going to finish next to last in the East. That's
you got Georgia's going to finish higher than Carolina. Tennessee's going to finish higher than Carolina.
Okay.
And then you got Kentucky that's going to finish higher than Carolina.
Okay.
So really, you're already at fourth place. All right.
Sure.
So then
did you hear what I said? It'll be a great season if they finish third or second in the East. That's what I said.
It'll be a great season, but y'all not going to do that.
Okay. Well, we'll have that on the bookcase of accountability, and we'll see where that shakes out. They're going to finish. I mean, right now on February the 15th, I say they finish better than Vanderbilt, and I think they definitely finish better than Mizzou right now. The question is, can they pick off Tennessee? Can they pick off a Kentucky team?
No, they can't.
Okay. Well, we'll see, man.
Yeah.
Anything else for the program today?
Yeah, I just got one. Speaking of Georgia quarterbacks,
sure,
and being elite, and causing mayhem. So, how do you feel about this? Matthew Stafford possibly being a Hall of Famer in the NFL.
Well, I think he needs a couple more seasons like he had this year. I think he did a lot with the Lions, but let's just be honest. The Lions are probably one of the worst franchises in the NFL. And he went up there and he had 12 seasons where he played his guts out. And they did him a favor by trading him, to be completely honest with you. But I think if he has a couple more seasons like he's had this year, not necessarily winning the Super Bowl, but being one of the more efficient quarterbacks on a grander stage that's not the Detroit Lions, I think that he may have an outside shot.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the call, Doug. Thank you for taking my call.
Have a great day, man. Appreciate it. Lots of stuff we're going to add to the bookcase of accountability there. We'll see how that works out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I think that it's going to be, that's kind of my, South Carolina is going to be different because they're going to have a quarterback that can make throws. We got to figure out who the wide receiver is going to be, but there's definitely potential there. We'll see, man. You don't really know until everything shakes out. But I'm pretty confident they'll finish ahead of Mizzou and they'll finish ahead of Vanderbilt. They've got Mizzou at home this year, and I think they win that game for certain. And I think they beat Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt, let's be honest, I don't think they care about football. 803-978-1832. If you want to respond to the caller there, I think there's a lot of, you're not looking at it from the perspective that South Carolina can get better. And I'm telling you, this year's team is going to be better than last year's team. I believe that. They may not have, their record could be the same or just a little bit better, but as far as being a better team, they're going to be a better team this year. I believe that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon. And I think that the whole thing with Mizzou, man, I think they got to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. They've got to get a new defensive coordinator. That's why I put them under South Carolina for sure this year, because just so much transition up there with Mizzou. I do like the film you see on Luther Bowden. He looks like just a man-child out there playing. But you never know until they get on the field. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. One owner may be forced to sell his team in the NFL. We'll talk about that when we come back. Also, got some quarterback stuff we can get into. And by the way, maybe we found a landing spot for JT Daniels. We'll talk about that too. And all kinds of other little things here on the Rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Oh, I'll give you this really quickly here. I thought this was interesting. The Duke Blue Devils, apparently, according to Duke, wanted to hire Harvard coach Tommy Amaker to replace Mike Krzyzewski. Mike Krzyzewski wanted John Shire. So, according to Ian O'Connor, they didn't want John Shire up there. They're already setting him up to be, we didn't want you anyway. So that's interesting. I thought that was kind of neat. 34-year-old Shire going to get thrown into the mix next season without Coach K. Corn Allen online says, how in the world does Southern Cal have a QB that's miles ahead of Georgia's? Nonsense. Oof. You know, Georgia has guys that are 5-star quarterbacks on their bench. You know, you can't throw rocks at Kirby Smart about, hey, the past season, but you can say maybe the way that they deal with quarterbacks down there is a little bit different. Someone messaged earlier and said they won the national title in spite of Stetson Bennett. I don't know if I would go that far. He made some throws, but he was the epitome of game manager. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. You know, Matt, that's an interesting thing there. I mean, he did throw for 3,000 yards as a freshman. The only thing I think that can stop Spencer Rattler is himself. You know, the 6 inches between his ears I think is something that could hinder him. If he comes in and he has pouty face because, hey, this offensive line that I'm behind is not nearly as good as the offensive line I was behind at Oklahoma. I don't have the wide receivers to throw to like I did at Oklahoma. And I have to make more plays with my feet. I have to take more hits than I took before. Can he get over that? You go back to the QB1 thing, the QB1 show or whatever, where he was lighting his teammates up about, you're not going the right way here, you're not going the right way there. There were times last season with the South Carolina offense where if you watch the game, guys would be lined up and they're supposed to block a guy, a wide receiver supposed to block a guy to the left because the running back's coming to the right, and then he ends up blocking the guy to the right, and the running back gets blown up. They didn't know exactly where they were supposed to be. Now, can they fix that? I don't know. I don't know about Marcus Satterfield and his offense. I mean, he put on a heck of a performance in the bowl game against North Carolina, but let's be honest, the North Carolina defense was hot dog water, to be honest. But Rattler's biggest thing is going to be the 6 inches between his ears. Can he not be a pouty face? Can he not be a guy that is going to be a poison for the team? I think he's got all the talent. Throw the ball from here to the moon. Corn. That's great, Corn Allen. Good stuff, buddy. Corn Alien. My fault. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. If you want to call in about the teams that, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the headline reads teams that could dethrone the SEC in 2022. No, it's teams that can beat Alabama and Georgia. Okay, they've got 2 great teams in the conference. I think LSU still got some work to do. I mean, Kentucky's going to be a team that wins 9 or 10 games. But are you really buying Kentucky with Wan'Dale Robinson gone? Everyone loves Levettis right now. Yeah, he doesn't have Robinson to throw the ball to. Anyway, we have plenty of time to get on over that. But I want to talk about this for a second. According to Mike Florio of ProFootballTalk.com, there's an increasing belief that the NFL's investigation into the matter of Brian Flores getting $100,000 per loss from Stephen Ross in 2019. The move is believed to be part of a deliberate effort from Ross to tank the season and improve draft position. They may force him to sell the team. Think about that for a second. Hey, I own a team. I'm paying a guy $100,000. I want my team to be better, so I want him to get a better draft pick. And then go from there. What? If all that happens, Brian Flores, by the way, when he came out and said that, he is not going to get an NFL job ever. Ever. Okay? He's done. He may end up suing Stephen Ross and getting some money out of him some way or another, but I don't think he's ever going to get a job anywhere else. But according to Pro Football Talk, it's an increasing logic that it may come out that Stephen Ross is going to have to sell the team. And you know what? If you're tanking on purpose, I mean, I have a serious problem with that. Serious problem with that. Ross brought the team for $1.1 billion in 2009. And here's the thing. Hey, you're going to have to sell your team. He'll probably get triple of that. You were basically conspiring to screw up the NFL draft, and you ran Brian Flores into the ground and called him a liar and everything else. But hey, guess what? You get a $3 million parachute there. Go ahead and sell your team and get your $3 billion. That's a disaster. I think we need to come up with a different way for the NFL's top draft pick. I mean, we can do the draft lottery like the NBA does. I'd rather see that. That seems more fair. I like the idea of two teams playing each other. That seems more fair. Let the owners have it out in the octagon. Owner of team 1 against owner of team 2. You can have it out in the octagon. You guys can fight. Whoever wins gets the number 1 pick. Now, I know these rich guys that are in their 70s, I can't fight. I need trial by combat. All right, you get your best fighter. I'll get my best fighter. We'll make sure they're in the same weight class. Get Dana White to put that together. Now fighting for the Miami Dolphins. They were 4-12 last year. Miami Dolphins select trial by combat. We're not going to send Stephen Ross. We're going to send, he's got Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar will fight for them. Then your heavyweight champion, for the Houston Texans. We're going to get a hometown guy, Derek Lewis. He will fight in the trial by combat for the Houston Texans. Put those two in the octagon. Let them fight. If they fight, guess what? Then we'll have, I'd much rather have that. Bankroll that. We'll get another sporting event out of it. The players, as Levon Kirkland was talking about the other day, they don't want to line up for another game. You have a chance to possibly get injured. Okay. Let's just go with just a UFC fight. You can pick who you want to go. Lee says it's worse if he's betting on the games. I don't think he's betting on the games. I think he was just trying to improve his team, but he was trying to go around the way to do it. But that way it would fix it. Two guys fight. Figure it out. We could go curling. I've been watching the curling with the Olympics. That's fun. But no, I'm with the UFC match. Fighting for who is it this year? Fighting for the Detroit Lions is Brock Lesnar. Fighting for the Jacksonville Jaguars is, Derek Lewis. Pick your guy. Those guys would get a payday out of it. And then we would have okay, they won the fight. They get the pick. That would save this whole tanking notion. It really would. It really, really would. 803-978-1832. Of course, the program brought to you by Mazda of Columbia. MazdaofColumbia.com. Go and get yourself a car. They will take care of you. Also, check out our podcast that I do with my brother, Andrew Woods. Even though he doesn't look like me, he's much taller and much thinner than I am. But him and our crazy Uncle Greg Hood, we do a podcast. Go to Mazda of Columbia. Find that on YouTube or however you get your favorite podcast. We talk about cars. It's kind of cool. Very cool stuff there with Mazda of Columbia. All right, coming up this week, we've got the college baseball season getting underway. Now, I know I just ripped everything about the SEC with their football stuff, but on the baseball side of things, we could theoretically have we may have 5 teams from the SEC that could go to Omaha this year for college baseball. They are that stacked in the SEC this year. I'm serious. You have 5 teams, I think, that could be in the mix. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Florida. On the other side, you've got there's 5 of them. I've got them written down. I think there's 5 teams that could theoretically go to Omaha for the SEC. If that happens, I'm hoping that they just rename it the SEC Invitational, because it's kind of what it is. You can watch on an SEC weekend, theoretically, 2 matchups where you could have 4 teams that are in the college baseball World Series. And that's just real. That's how deep the SEC is right now as far as baseball goes. And here's the thing. I think South Carolina is a rung under those guys. I think that under those teams, I think they're going to be a team that has the capability of making some noise in the conference, but a lot of it's going to come down to pitching. You can never have enough pitching in college baseball. And can the Gamecocks hit? Are they going to get away from the gorilla ball that they've been playing and get some guys on base, contact hitters, singles, stretching to doubles, etc.? I think that's the way the Gamecock baseball team is going to be this year, instead of trying to live and die by the 3-run homer. Papa Blake online says, repeat back-to-back national titles. Yeah, he's talking about Mississippi State. Edwin's got a good point. Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Florida, and Tennessee. Yeah. But the other thing with college baseball, I mean, it is a regional sport. You should dominate in the South because you can actually get out and practice and everything else simply because of the weather. Joe Healy was on with us earlier last week, and he came off the top with that, and it's true. But that's my over and under. We'll put that on the bookcase of accountability. 5 teams from the SEC, I think, will make the College Baseball World Series. And it's what Edwin said. It makes a lot of sense. Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Florida, and Tennessee. LSU might be the sneaky team there with a new coach who brought like an All-American with him. How's that working out for you? It's nice to be an LSU baseball fan. They're always up there near the top. All right, tomorrow on the program, we'll look at some college baseball stuff. I've got something that I'm writing up about the baseball owners. We'll have that on the blog page at foxsportsradio1400.com. Don't forget Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk. He is up next. He is the czar of Clemson Sports. You can find him on Twitter at Clemson Sports. And his show is coming up here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. More of the rundown tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
You guys are awesome. Appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for calling the program today. We'll talk to you guys later on.